she discovered he wasn't just a drifter cowboy but an incredible landowner with a heart long hid. Claire wiped down the counter, her hands moving with the rhythm of a woman who had found solace in the familiarity of her beloved diner. The scent of freshly brewed coffee and sizzling bacon hung in the air as the sun dipped behind the golden fields of Willow Creek. It was another evening just like so many before, yet her heart ached with the burdens of single motherhood. Her divorce had shaken the foundations of what she believed family meant, leaving her with 2 young kids and a diner to run a place that welcomed everyone, but often felt like a prison made of shrimp and laughter. Then he walked in, Jake. Tall, rugged, a cowboy with the kind of presence that could turn heads. But as soon as his eyes met Claire's, something shifted. He approached the counter with a hesitant smile. "A slice of your famous apple pie, please, and a hot chocolate for the kids," he said softly, nodding towards her children who were coloring at a booth. She eyed him suspiciously, expecting a transient ready to take advantage of the goodness her diner offered. Yet there was a warmth in his voice that made her heart flutter, a spark she had all but buried deep within her. As the days turned to weeks, Jake became a fixture in the diner, always asking about her children, genuinely engaging with them. His kindness chipped away at her defenses, revealing moments of joy she thought she could never feel again. One afternoon, Claire caught him singing softly to her youngest, giggling at his catchy tune. A tightness in her chest eased, making way for a smile that she realized she hadn't worn in ages. But as their friendship blossomed, so did the whispered gossip of Willow Creek. He wasn't just a drifter. It turned out he was a landowner, once a figure shrouded in mystery and a tad feared. The townsfolk's prejudice burned bright, a mix of admiration and disdain clouded their thoughts. Eyes followed him, whispers filled the air. Claire felt the weight of her community's judgment, tugging at her spirit as she grappled with her budding feelings for this enigmatic man. Just as summer storms swept through the rolling hills, another storm brewed, this one emotional. The skies rumbled ominously one fateful night, unleashing fury. Rain pelted against the diner windows, lightning flickered bright across the town. The people of Willow Creek waited, riveted with uncertainty. Claire huddled with her children, contemplating whether they should reach out to Jake. In that moment, she felt torn between the bitter fears of her neighbors and the flickering hope growing in her heart. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the storm raged outside, the diner filled with locals, each face etched with uncertainty. Claire's thoughts clashed wildly, battling societal judgment and her innate desire for connection. Could Jake truly bring about a second chance? Would she follow her heart, or cling to the fears that her neighbors whispered beneath the din of thunder? The winds howled like a chorus of doubt, leaving Claire standing on the brink of choice. Would she step forward, ready to embrace the potential of her relationship with Jake? Or would the fabric of Willow Creek and her own dreams remain tangled in memories of the past? Amidst the furious storm, a resolution simmered within her. Something had to give. Claire's heart raced as she stood behind the counter, glancing at the storm outside. The rain lashed against the windows, but it was the chorus of whispers from the townsfolk that struck her deepest. They were gathered, clustered like storm clouds, their faces drawn, eyes flickering between suspicion and curiosity. She could feel their gaze on her, twisting her insides like a coil ready to snap. "Claire, you okay?" One of her regulars, Old Man Harris, called over, breaking her reverie. His voice was gruff but filled with a kind of concern that reminded her he was more family than a mere customer. "Yeah, just thinking," she started. But her words faded as she spotted Jake braving the storm, pushing open the diner door with that familiar rugged grace. Thunder cracked just as he entered, causing a few patrons to jump. He shook off the rain like a wolf shedding water and stepped inside. The atmosphere shifted immediately, a ripple running through the crowd, eyes now glued to the newcomer. "Thought I'd check on you all," he smiled, his eyes meeting Claire's. Relief washed over her, melting away the tension. She gestured him over and for a moment, Only he and the world around her existed. "Glad you made it here, Jake," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos outside. "You know me, always around when storms hit," he replied, leaning against the counter, his posture casual yet protective, like a fortress that could shield her from judgment. As the diner buzzed with the chatter of rain matched against the clanging of pots and smiling faces, Claire felt the warmth of Jake's presence. It was an unsettling but exhilarating sensation. The storm outside somehow matched the tempest of emotions raging inside her, a delicate dance between desire and fear. "Why do you let them talk?" she finally asked, her voice barely rising above the din. "About you, I mean." Jake's brow furrowed slightly, but he took a moment before answering. "Everyone's got their stories, Claire. Truth is, I'm not the villain they make me out to be. I'm just me." "You're more than just a drifter," she whispered, her heart echoing the words. But she could see the flicker of pain in his eyes, the shadows of the reputation that clung to him like a vine choking a tree. At that moment, the diner's door swung open again, letting in a gust of wind. Clara, the town's gossip and self-appointed moral compass, rushed in, her eyes wide with a mixture of concern and concealed triumph. "Jake, are you really here to look after Claire and the kids? Or is there something else we should know?" The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Jake, the air thick with tension. He straightened, gathering his thoughts like a cowboy would before a ride. "I'm here for Claire and her children. That's all there is to say." Claire felt stretched tight, the exposed wire of vulnerability and protection brimming within her. How many times had she allowed others to dictate her dreams, her heart? "Maybe they're right to question you," Clara continued, her voice rising, "with your past and all. You're a landowner now, but enough." Claire cried out unexpectedly, feeling a surge of courage crash upon her like the waves striking the shore. "You don't know him at all. You don't know all he's done for this town. What I know is Jake treats us with kindness, something we could all use more of." Silence fell. The room was still, as if the storm outside paused to listen. Jake's eyes widened with admiration, and somewhere, deep in her chest, Claire felt the weight of her fears grow lighter. But as she glanced around, she saw shock mingled with grudging respect, and she knew acceptance wouldn't come easy. Jake stepped closer. "I won't let this get in the way of what we have, Claire." His voice was soft but firm, an anchor amid the chaos. She nodded. The storm might rage outside, but in this moment there was a sliver of possibility. As electricity crackled in the air, Claire knew the real battle was just beginning. Would she have the courage to bravely face not just the whispers of others, but her own insecurities? Next she'd have to confront a truth that was hard to grasp, one that could change everything. What if she let him in fully, despite the town's doubts? What would that mean for them? And through the din of doubt and hope, one question lingered. Could love truly conquer all? The diner buzzed with muffled conversations, but Claire felt like the world had narrowed down to just her and Jake. His presence was a balm against the tension in the air, a reminder that not all hope was lost, even as Clara's words hung like dark clouds above them. As she searched his eyes for answers, the storm outside raged on, thunder rumbling like a distant warning. Behind them, patrons whispered, their words brushing against her skin, an uninvited chill crawling up her spine. She found herself gripping the edge of the counter, knuckles white, feeling the swell of determination rising within her. "Can we step outside?" Jake's voice was low, his expression serious. She hesitated, knowing the storm continued to roar but also feeling an inexplicable pull towards him, an urgency to talk away from prying eyes. Nodding, they made their way through the diner, eyes still on them. With every step, Claire felt her heart drum louder, a fierce battle brewing inside her. They pushed open the door, the cold wind sweeping around them, the smell of rain heavy in the air. "What's on your mind, Claire?" Jake asked, his gaze steady, holding the weight of her emotions as they stood in the shadow of the diner awning. The rain fell in sheets, every droplet a reminder of the storm both inside and outside their haven. She paused, searching for the right words. "I can't shake the feeling that you're carrying something heavy. The town's whispers are one thing, but I want to understand you. Who you are, really." Jake ran a hand through his damp hair, his jaw tightening. "There's not much to tell. I've made my fair share of mistakes, and yes, I've once been a drifter. I came back to make a life. The land isn't just dirt to me. It holds dreams." Jake, she took a half step closer, rain starting to drizzle around them. You've done so much for this community. But what about you? What do you want? His breath fogged in the cool air. Maybe I want a second chance at a lot of things, he said. His voice thick but unyielding. I want to be there for you. For your kids. But there's a part of me that fears what others think. I don't want to be the man they think I am. Then let me see the real you, Claire urged, her heart racing. Let me be a part of that. You think I don't know struggle? I've had my fair share too. Together we can fight the whispers, not just for ourselves but for the kids. For a future. The weight of her words hung in the air, and for a moment, she saw the flicker of hope reflected in his eyes. He took a step toward her, the distance between them closing. You're not afraid? Not of what they say. Why should I be? She replied, her voice steady. I know who you are. I see your kindness beneath the past. That night at the river, the way you cared, it's all I need to believe. His expression softened, the harsh lines of doubt in his face melting away. You make it sound easy, Claire, he said. But I'm not sure how to shake off the shadows. Maybe it starts with us being honest about everything. No more hiding. She put a hand on his forearm, feeling the warmth beneath the cool rain. I won't let them break what we've started. The thunder rolled above them as a rush of wind whipped around, and in that moment, he leaned closer, almost as if testing the waters. You really think we can face this together? Yes. Did she believe it? Claire stood firm in her conviction. Their souls tangled in this moment, both fragile yet fierce. Love could be their shield if they would only hold on to it tightly. As they shared a breath, the world around them faded, but just as quickly, the reality of the diner and the town clamoring for gossip rushed back at her. What if they couldn't fight it? Claire. Jake pulled back, concern washing over his features. If we do this, there's no turning back. This won't just affect us. It'll impact your kids too. What if she hesitated, weighing her words? What if this is the very thing they fear the most? A kind of love that could change everything? The storm intensified, raindrops pounding harder against the pavement, a backdrop to the turmoil in Claire's heart. As she searched Jake's eyes, she felt a fierce resolve harden inside her. True love may be a battlefield, but it was a fight she was willing to enter. But the question hung between them, heavy and electrifying. Were they truly ready to confront the storm the world would unleash against them together? The rain poured down, drenching the pavement around them, and for a moment, Claire couldn't tell if the heat in her cheeks was from the flickering hope between them or just the chill of the storm. She searched Jake's face for a sign, a crack in the armor he wore, a hint that he might let her in. They stood on the precipice of something real, but it felt precarious, like a bridge made of thin ice. Let us not think about the storm, she said, trying to hold his gaze. Let us focus on what we can create. You and me. The words hung in the air between them, a tether connecting their souls. Jake breathed in deeply, his eyes narrowing as he contemplated her promise. It's not that simple, he said, his voice strained. You see this ideal, but the truth is more complicated. I'm not who you think I am. You have no idea what it means to be a drifter, Claire. Then show me, she replied, her voice unwavering. Show me the truth behind the man I see now. I promise I won't run. He hesitated, warring emotions crossing his face. What if I told you I'm not just a drifter? What if I told you I have more to lose than you think? Claire felt a shiver of anticipation. Then let me share the burden, Jake. I know what it means to hold on to shadows. I can help you face them. The storm raged around them, but in that moment, it felt like the rest of the world fell away. It was just them, a chance to break through the walls they had both built up over the years. Jake's eyes softened, and she noticed the tension lifting slightly from his shoulders. You really want that? Yes, she affirmed. I want to stand with you. It's time we both stop hiding. The rain started to lighten, and with it, Claire felt a shift in the air, something that ignited a flicker of hope. Okay, Jake said slowly, his voice almost a whisper. But promise me no matter what I share, you won't look at me with disappointment. Never, Claire insisted. I'll always see you for who you are beneath everything. Jake nodded, gathering himself as raindrops dripped off his brow. I own land, he said, almost as if the truth choked him. I inherited it. It's been in my family for generations. But I felt like a fraud, like everyone sees me as the town joke. Claire's heart raced. But that's incredible. You're not just a drifter. You came back to this town for a reason, right? You want to honor your family. You want to build a life. No, he interrupted, shaking his head. Not just that. I came back because I thought maybe I could erase the past. Be someone new. But it's hard. Every glance, every whispered word brings me right back to it. She didn't know what to say. Here was this man. Not just a drifter but an owner of land. Past battles weighing on him heavier than any storm. There was so much more to him than she realized. But what if Claire searched for the right words? What if your past isn't something to erase but something to learn from? You came back to make it right, didn't you? Then let us face it together. The storm clouds drifted a little further. A small ray of moonlight breaking through the expanse. Jacob looked at her, hope mingling with his doubt. This means putting our hearts on the line, he cautioned, his voice low. Then let us do it, she said. A gentle determination filling her own heart. Let us join together for something real. But in that quiet moment, doubt crept back in a whispering echo of the fears that still gnawed at her soul. Would his truth drive them apart instead of bringing them together? As Jake stepped closer, Claire felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. They were standing together, but the path ahead seemed trickier than the stormy night they were sharing. Was it truly possible to confront their pasts without losing what was blossoming between them? That question lingered, heavy with uncertainty, even as they took their first unsteady steps into the unknown. The moment hung between them, thick with unspoken fears. Claire could see Jake wrestling with his thoughts, the shadows of his past tucking themselves back into the corners of his mind. She wanted to reach out, to pull those shadows into the light, but she hesitated. Would he really let her in? The rain was slowing now, a gentle patter against the asphalt, as if it too wanted to listen to this conversation. Jake, she began softly, her voice almost lost in the sound of the droplets. It's okay to have a past. We all do. His brow knit together, eyes dark with conflict. You don't understand, Claire. You don't know what I've done or what I haven't done, he admitted, frustration simmering just below the surface. What do you mean? She asked. Every word he hesitated to say felt like a closing door, and she needed him to open it. He took a deep breath. I left when my family needed me most. I thought running away would save me. But it only made it worse. His shoulders slumped, and Claire could see the exhaustion creeping into his stance. I didn't want to be the failure they believed I was. So I became someone else instead. Claire felt her heart ache. But Jake, can't you see? Running away doesn't change who you are. You have this incredible land, a legacy, and you came back to it. That takes strength. He laughed bitterly, but she could hear a glimmer of hope in that sound. Strength? This land, I don't even know how to run it properly. Everyone in town thinks I'll screw it up. What if they're right? They don't matter, she urged, frustration building inside her. You have a chance to write your own story now. Don't let their doubts hold you captive. You're not the boy who ran away anymore. You're a man standing right here. With me. He looked into her eyes, searching for the truth in her words. For a moment Claire felt something shift. She could see the rawness of his vulnerability pop through the cracks. But I'm scared, he finally admitted, his defenses dropping. They stared at each other, the storm outside fading to mere background noise. Claire stepped closer, closing the distance between them. So am I. But together we can face the storm. Isn't that what we've been searching for? Jake swallowed hard, and for a second, Claire thought he might back away again. But instead he shook his head. The resolve in his eyes transformed from doubt to determination. You really want to face this with me? He asked, his voice trembling with a mix of hope and fear. Yes, she said, passion igniting within her heart. I want to stand beside you, Jake. We can build something new together. Something real. She could feel the tension between them break, like a dam giving way to the force of the river. In that moment they were no longer just two souls standing in the rain. They were partners ready to navigate the rough waters ahead. But just as realization dawned, the sound of a distant train whistle echoed through the quiet night, a reminder of journeys yet to be taken. Claire's heart dropped. What if she hesitated, her smile faltering? What if we aren't ready for what comes next? Then we'll find out together, Jake replied, taking a step closer, reaching for her hand. I won't let you go. The warmth of his grip sent a thrill through her. But as the night darkened again, the storm's remnants cast lingering doubts. What waited for them in the shadows, and were they strong enough to face it? As they stood there, hands clasped tightly, the future loomed ahead, a winding road full of obstacles and perhaps moments of redemption. Would their bond survive against the truths they had yet to uncover? The rain began to subside, each drop a last whisper of the storm's fury. Claire and Jake stood on that quiet street, still connected by their joined hands, the atmosphere thick with possibility. She could hear the soft rustle of leaves nearby, the gentle night coming to life around them. Yet, beneath the surface of this tranquil moment, an undercurrent of anxiety swirled between them. Jake's eyes darted away, fixing on the darkened horizon. "I want to be better, Claire," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I want to make things right. But there's so much riding on this. My family's legacy, what they think of me, this land, it feels like a weight I can't carry." "Let us carry it together," Claire urged, squeezing his hand tighter. She could feel the urgency beneath his words, the desperation for understanding and acceptance. "You're not alone in this. You don't have to shoulder it all by yourself." He turned to her, his face a mixture of gratitude and fear. The faint glow from the nearby streetlight illuminated the contours of his features, revealing a man torn between his past and a hopeful future. "How do I fix it?" he asked, the vulnerability in his voice cutting through the air. "Start by facing it," Claire replied, summoning every ounce of encouragement she had. "Don't hide from who you used to be. Embrace it. Let it guide you into becoming the person you want to be." For a moment, his expression shifted, battle lines drawn between despair and determination. She could see the shadows of doubt begin to recede slightly, hope glimmering through. But then a flicker of something darker reappeared in his eyes. "What if people don't want to forgive? What if I'm still just that runaway? You won't know until you try." Claire took a step closer, a gentle urgency propelling her forward. "You came back. That says something. Everyone deserves a second chance, including you. You can redefine who you are, Jake." As the steady hum of town nightlife began to pick up in the distance, the promise of a new beginning hovered on their doorstep. He hesitated again, the flicker of light in his eyes dimmed by the weight of the unknown. "What if I disappoint you?" His voice cracked, revealing how deeply feared being vulnerable lay within him. In that moment of honesty, Claire felt the walls between them beginning to crumble. "You won't. I believe in you and I see the man you can become. We'll face the community together. Face your family and confront whatever it is you're scared of. And if things don't go to plan, we will figure it out. Together." Jake processed her words, the tension in his body relaxing slightly. "And what about you? Are you ready? What if they turn on you for standing beside me?" "I'm ready," she said, her conviction resonating through the cool night air. "I've made my choices and I believe in what we're building together. I won't let fear dictate my life either." The silence stretched, thick with unspoken promises, and just as Claire sensed tentative hope start to blossom, they heard distant laughter, but it carried an edge, a familiar voice breaking through the night. "Jake, you done lurking with the rain?" Jake froze, his face betraying the clockwork of emotions within him. Claire's heart raced and she moved instinctively closer, protective but curious. The figure approaching from the direction of the tavern was undeniably one of the local men Jake had known well. "Guess you'd better introduce me to your new friend," he called out, his laugh piercing the moment. The air shifted suddenly. Clay, the local mechanic in Jake's childhood cohort, was the last person they needed standing between them and this critical moment of connection. Jake's hand instinctively withdrew from Claire's grip, replaced by the very shadows of doubt he had fought moments ago. "Now what?" Jake's voice was a mixture of panic and uncertainty. Claire felt a swell of resolve. They didn't have to hide anymore. But would Jake choose to face his past and her future head-on, or retreat once more into the shadows? As she looked at Jake, the mix of confusion and fear in his eyes echoed her own thoughts. This was just the beginning, but the road ahead was bumpy, and she could feel their journey turning at this very moment. "Whatever happens next, I will be right here," she promised. But as the laughter grew closer, Claire couldn't shake the feeling that their moment of clarity hung by the thinnest thread. Would their shared bravery outlast the looming judgment of their pasts? The laughter echoed again, more pronounced, tugging at the edges of Claire's confidence. She glanced at Jake, whose expression reflected a struggle she could almost feel. "Stay with me," she whispered, as if the urgency of her words could anchor him in that moment, fighting against the chaos approaching. Clay rounded the corner, a broad grin plastered on his face, oblivious to the tension hanging in the air. "Look at you. Back from the dead, huh? Everyone thought you skipped town for good." His jovial tone seemed innocent enough, but Claire could sense the pressure it put on Jake, pushing him against a wall he wasn't quite ready to face. "Yeah, well," Jake stumbled over his words, his voice pinned between his past and the present. "I'm here now." "Oh, you're more than just here." Clay chuckled, gesturing wildly. "You're standing out. You've got some real catching up to do, buddy." "The guy's Clay." Jake's tone sharpened. Claire felt a slight shift in him, his defenses hardening. "Not now." Clay blinked, taken aback, yet the confusion in his eyes quickly twisted into concern. "What's with you? You all right?" He turned between Jake and Claire, dissecting the scene with a well-practiced gaze. "I'm fine." Jake straightened, voice steadying. "I'm good." "Sure you are." Clay chuckled nervously, glancing at Claire. "What, is she your therapist now or something?" There was a moment where silence reigned, the air thick and heavy with unasked questions. Claire felt her heart pound. She watched Jake, processing the choice that lay bare before him. Could he express himself? Could he confront this sideways connection to his past that threatened to drag him back? The moment felt electric, charged with everything unspoken. "Clay, this is Claire," he finally said, taking a small step toward her. "She's important to me." "Important?" Clay's brows knitted together in confusion, almost like he couldn't comprehend what Jake was saying. "You mean like I'm not hiding anymore," Jake said firmly, locking eyes with Claire, who suddenly felt a spark of courage ignite within her. "I want to be better." The shift was instant. Clay's face morphed into a mix of incredulity and admiration. "Seriously? You're ready to face everything?" Even after that," Jake interrupted, a steely resolve in his voice that made Claire's heart flutter. The expression on Clay's face morphed from disbelief to reassurance, and she could see the wheels turning, calculating snippets of their shared past. "Okay, well, all right then." Clay's voice was steadier, but she could feel his surprise, maybe even a sliver of hope. "Let us not waste time then. The townsfolk are restless. All they want to know is if their old friend is finally here to stay." Jake exchanged a glance with Claire, his eyes flickering with uncertainty. "What if they don't want me back? What if they see the same old Jake?" "Then we show them a new Jake," Claire said, an affirmation both to him and herself, one who's willing to stand tall and face them side by side. She guided his hand back into hers, their fingers threading together like a promise, palpable and strong. They felt a moment swell between them, grounded not just in hope, but in a shared commitment to face whatever would come next. Just as Jake took a deep breath, preparing to step into that uncertain future, a shadow shifted behind them. "Hey, I heard Jake's back." A group of familiar faces appeared from the tavern, their expressions holding a mix of curiosity and wariness. The atmosphere changed instantly, as the air grew thick with whispers and raised eyebrows. "Look who finally dared to show their face," one of the voices called out, laced with a hint of spite. Claire squeezed Jake's hand tighter. The moment of clarity they had fought for felt threatened again. But she refused to let go. "Whatever happens next, we'll figure it out, right?" she reminded him, her voice steady but her heart racing. Jake nodded, steeling himself, but Claire could see the battle still raging within him. As the crowd drew nearer, the question loomed larger than ever. Would the warmth of community welcome him back, or would their harsh judgment push him away again? In that moment, the future lay wide open before them, each path uncertain and fraught with challenges. But together they were ready to face it all, however messy and unpredictable it might be. Claire's chest tightened. What now? Would acceptance await them, or would rejection shadow their brave decisions? The very thought sent a shiver down her spine. The crowd closed in, each face a mixture of old grudges and unspoken hopes. Claire could see the whispers ripple through the group, a murmur of surprise and skepticism that made her heart race. She could feel Jake's grip on her hand tighten, his fear palpable, and it fueled her resolve. "Jake!" called a voice from the back. It was Molly, someone who had grown up with him, her tone half accusatory, half curious. Thought we'd seen the last of you. What brings you back? Just looking for something, Jake replied, his voice cracking slightly. The honesty in his tone surprised Claire. He was digging deep, confronting the ghosts in his past. You've got a lot of nerve showing up after everything, someone else chimed in, laughter mingling with scorn. The tension skyrocketed and Claire's stomach turned. Could they really do this? Everything. Jake shot back, his voice firm. You think I'm running from my past? No. I'm here to face it. All of it. Shock spread across the crowd, and for a moment silence reigned. Claire squeezed Jake's hand, a grounding presence amid the storm of their surroundings. She admired his courageous stance, the way he faced those who had known him as a different man. Molly, remember when I left? I didn't want to be that Jake anymore, the one who disappointed everyone. He continued. But I've changed. I want to show you. Clay stepped forward, his tone changing as he softened. You've got a lot of guts, man. But you aren't the only one who has had to pick themselves up around here. Jake looked back at Claire, their eyes locking in unison. It was one thing to say he was ready. It was another to be ready. I need your support. All of you. If I'm going to prove that, I can't do it alone. A collective breath hung in the air, the crowd weighing their choices. Claire's heart raced along with her thoughts. If only they could see the real Jake, the man who had fought to change, instead of being stuck in their old memories. How do we know this is the real you? A voice called out. It was a challenge, but Claire sensed more than just suspicion behind it, a desperate need for redemption. Let me show you, Jake said gently. Give me a chance. I promise I'll earn your trust back. And there it was, the hope buried within those words. Claire felt it spark inside her, a flicker that began to grow. They could rebuild, they could fight against the shadows that haunted them. Not just for themselves but for the community they still belonged to. Suddenly a child broke through the crowd, tiny fingers clutching a faded toy cow. Looking up at Jake with wide, innocent eyes. Are you a cowboy? She asked, tilting her head in curiosity. Jake's expression shifted. For a brief moment, he looked utterly lost, until a soft smile broke through and it transformed him. I used to be, he replied gently, kneeling to meet her gaze. But now I'm more than that. The crowd held its breath, watching the interaction, captivated. Claire's heart swelled. If even one child could see the kindness in him, perhaps others would begin to see it too. The warmth of compassion radiated outward, challenging the coldness of doubt. Then how about showing us what you've got, Jake? Clay challenged, playfully jabbing their shared past. Yet the spark of camaraderie was evident in his tone. Pick a challenge and let us see what you can do. Okay, Jake said, straightening up. Let us organize a community project together. I want to give back, build something we can all enjoy. The murmurs shifted, curiosity bubbling through. Claire could feel the tension in the air lift just a little. It wasn't a guarantee, but it was a start. They could take that first step towards healing, even if it was just a matter of building trust brick by brick. But as the community began to stir with cautious enthusiasm, one last voice rose above the rest, a cutting remark that pierced through the collective hope. Community service? You're going to have to prove it's for real, Jake. You've got a lot to do to win us back. The challenge hung there, echoing in the stillness, leaving Claire's heart pounding. Would Jake be able to rise to the occasion, or would those existing doubts pull him back into the shadows? She couldn't ignore the fear creeping in. As Jake faced the crowd, determination flickering in his eyes, Claire knew one thing. They were only starting to uncover what lay ahead. Would he have the strength to truly transform? Only time would tell. Jake stood tall, the challenge hanging like a cloud over him. He thought about everything that had led him back here, the choices made, the risks taken, and now he was carrying the weight of the town's judgment on his shoulders. All right, he finally said, fists unclenching, I'll prove it. Let us start small. We could fix up that old park by the school. Clear out the weeds, paint the benches, make it a place again where kids can play. The notion drew whispers, a mix of incredulity and intrigue. Claire watched as a flicker of something sparked in the crowd's eyes, an unexpected interest. If they could just grab hold of that glimmer, they might help him pull through. Molly crossed her arms, her eyes narrowing. Why should we believe you? Anyone can make promises. That's true, Jake replied, his voice steady despite the pressure. But I intend to keep mine. I'll bring the tools and materials. I'll get my hands dirty. No shortcuts. Just me doing the work, side by side with anyone willing to join. A shift in the crowd. Claire could feel something, a crack in the armor of doubt. Perhaps Jake's sincerity was beginning to seep through the cracks that had kept people defensive for too long. Let us say we buy in, Clay said, renewed energy in his tone. What's in it for you, Jake? What do you get out of this? This isn't about me, Jake said, earnestness wrapping around his words like a warm hug. This is about us. About mending fences, healing old wounds. I need to show you I'm not just the old Jake that ran away. I want to be part of this community again to help grow it. The little girl who had asked if he was a cowboy seemed to bounce on her toes. Can we plant flowers? She chirped, her eyes bright with hope. Definitely, Jake grinned back at her. And maybe we can build a birdhouse too. Everyone loves a little color in their lives, right? The laughter rippled, this time lightening the atmosphere as reluctant smiles began to appear. Claire felt her heart lift. Perhaps this was the moment they all needed. Yet, just as hope spread its wings, the cold whisper of skepticism returned, heralded by the voice of another. What if it's just a phase? What if you pack up and leave once things get tough? It was a woman near the back, her arms crossed and eyes glaring. Claire's breath hitched. What Jake needed now was full support, not more pressure. She felt the instinct to protect him surge within her. He's come back to fight for this place, she asserted, voice clear against the swell of doubt. He's not alone in this. We're all here together, aren't we? And just like that, a real conversation unfolded, vibrant debates sparking in the crowd, hearts starting to embolden. While some remained quiet, others found reasons to rally behind Jake's promise. As the raw energy flowed among them, Claire noticed Jake shift, caught up in the tide of opinions. Each word passed through him as though forging new links, new connections, in a fragile chain that would lead them somewhere unexpected. Then, without warning, the boy from across the street piped up. Let us call it the New Dawn Project. A fresh start. Laughter bloomed, and for the first time, a genuine sense of community began to rise like steam off a warm cup of coffee. Claire smiled, feeling the warmth spread through her like sunshine. But the woman still stood firm, resolute in her skepticism. Words are cheap, she warned, you'll need to show us. Words and actions must align. Only time will reveal if you're really committed. Jake's gaze bore into hers. Then let us start this weekend. I'll show you. I'll be there, rain or shine. Just give me the chance. And with that, the crowd erupted into discussion about logistics, plans morphing amid huddled conversations. Claire could see Jake breathing easier, the corners of his mouth lifting in a cautious, hopeful grin. It wasn't a victory yet, but they were moving toward something. As they began to seal the plans, a shadow crossed Jake's features. Was it uncertainty or doubt creeping back? She wanted to reach out, to soothe the tumult she felt he still wrestled with. But what if the woman's skepticism rang true? Would he really rise to the occasion? Claire couldn't help but wonder. As the crowd dispersed, leaving all whispers of hope and doubt swirling in the air, she looked to Jake, bracing for what lay ahead. Would this new dawn truly shine bright? Or would they find themselves lost in shadows once more? The weekend felt like an eternity away, and Claire's heart ached with anticipation, a question lingering, heavy and electric. The sun broke through the clouds on the morning of the New Dawn Project, shedding its golden light on Willow Creek. Claire stood outside the diner, scanning the horizon with her heart pounding. What if today was the day everything changed? What if they really could build something beautiful together? As people trickled into the park, families with kids excitedly clutching paintbrushes and garden supplies, Jake arrived, 10 minutes late but bursting with purpose. He carried a toolbox, its weight resting hungrily in his hands, as if it held the very essence of his ambitions. Hey! He called to the gathering crowd, his voice like a beacon cutting through the chatter. Let us get to work. He began distributing supplies, directing everyone with surprising ease. The initial tension in the air began to lift as laughter and friendly banter replaced skepticism. Claire watched as he connected with the townsfolk, his genuine smile melting away their worries, their eyes softening in acknowledgement. For a moment it felt like they were weaving new threads into the fabric of Willow Creek, each stroke of paint a new flower planted restoring what had been lost. But amid the festivities a familiar voice broke through the cheerful noise. It was Clara, arms crossed, watching with a critical eye. You really think this will change everything? she challenged, her tone sardonic. Jake turned toward her, the pain of judgment flickering across his face but quickly replaced with steadfastness. No, I don't expect everything to change overnight. But this is a start. It's about showing up no matter how hard it gets. Claire felt a swell of pride. That was it, the man she was falling for. A man ready to rise above the shadows of his past. Clara scoffed, but couldn't he ignore the energy radiating through the crowd. Show us what you can really do then, she retorted, crossing her arms tighter. With each brushstroke, each laugh, Claire and the community channeled their fears into hope. Flowers bloomed like promises, brightening the park that had long felt forgotten. Children darted around, and soon enough, even Clara seemed to sway toward the rhythm of determination. As the day wore on, sweat mingled with laughter, spirits lifting higher. Claire caught Jake's eye, and in that moment, a wave of reassurance washed over them both. He wasn't just a drifter anymore. He was a man carving out his place, stitching his past into his present. But late in the afternoon, as the last coats of paint dried and the park began to take shape, shadows flickered over the crowd once more. A group of skeptics on the sidelines shifted uneasily, murmurs of doubt bubbling up, and Claire felt the atmosphere tense up again. Will this really last? One voice finally called out. What if it's just a fling? What if you leave again? Jake stood still for a beat, the weight of the moment settling in the silence. Claire watched as his expression hardened with resolve, the determination in him igniting anew. I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere, he said slowly, each word measured and honest. I want to be part of this community to make it thrive. And I understand if it takes time for you to trust me. I will earn it every single day. Clara's heart swelled. Here was the man she believed in, so real in his commitments. The crowd started to inch closer, the initial distrust edging itself away as those who had once only whispered began to listen. Show us you mean it, Jake, someone in the crowd called, an invitation more than a challenge. He nodded earnestly. I promise to dedicate my time and effort. And I invite all of you to join me. Together we'll create something lasting. I won't let you down. That moment hung in the air, a silent pact sealing itself around them. Slowly but surely, hands raised one by one, neighbors stepping forward. The laughter returned, bubbling back to the surface like flowers finding the light. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, casting a golden glow across their work, Claire felt a wave of hope wash over her. They were becoming a community again, stitching together threads of connection that had been frayed by time, fingers intertwined with Jake's roots growing deep. She realized this was just the beginning. Together they would conquer the challenges that lay ahead, bringing love and resilience back to Willow Creek. And just then, amid the laughter and chatter, Claire's heart surged, knowing deep down that Jake would be there through it all, his hand steady in hers. They faced the future together, stronger than before. As the day faded into twilight, she thought, this is what love can do then. She grabbed Jake's hand tightly, ready for whatever lay ahead. Before you go, here's your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to boost the algorithm and keep the positivity flowing. Voice your reactions and feelings about this ending in the comments below. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation. Only true fans truly comprehend the impact of their support. Let us grow this community together.